Well, welcome back to the arcade. Before I get into the video, it's just a few things I'd like to talk to you about. First, I was watching a couple videos ago on YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube, and arcade videos, I love watching those, but I watch a lot of other type of videos too. But I was watching Sean over at Classic Arcade Repairs, and he mentioned me in his video, and he suggested that I rebrand my channel because my channel name was just the letter of my first name and then my last name, S. Verlander. And if somebody was looking at that, they wouldn't realize that it has anything to do with arcades or any other subject matter. And when I first started the channel, it was basically just a personal channel. And I basically started out with videos from my other longtime hobby, which is radio control, well, everything radio control basically. I've had radio control airplanes, radio control helicopters. I've had radio control hot air balloons. I've had radio control paraplanes. I've had radio control RC cars, radio controlled RC construction equipment. I got a Hanomag rubber tire front end loader, fully functional, radio controlled. And that came out back in the mid-80s, 1980s. I still have it, it's still functional. And if you look those up on eBay, they have the kit. It was a kit that you bought and put together. It's made out of aluminum. And I think they're wanting something like $1,500 for that kit now. So that's become quite a collector's item. So it basically started out with, like I say, my hobby, mainly airplanes and helicopters on the videos. And I got into FPV, which is first person view, which is you wear video goggles and you have a video camera in the aircraft and you put the video goggles on and you actually fly the airplane from the first person view, like you're sitting in the pilot seat. And I haven't done that in a while. I'd like to get back into it eventually, but right now, the way things are, I don't get out much to do much with the RC hobby, unfortunately. So right now, I'm trying to focus on my home arcade. I've kind of, over the years, have let it kind of slide a little bit and fall into disarray, and things started piling up. And a great example is, and I've seen this in other people's videos, especially pinball machines, because they, even though they're on an angle, they have this nice flat surface, they become a catch-all where you put everything on them temporarily and it starts piling up, and before you know it, you got boxes on top of the pinball machines up to the ceiling. And same thing with my Voyager cockpit. I started filling that up just to get things out the way so you still can't get in it. I've been doing a lot of cleanup and trying to organize things and put things more organized in plastic boxes and everything, but that's another story. The main thing is, on this channel, I want to document my arcade games and document the repairs, whether that means board repairs, cabinet repairs, monitor repairs, whatever the game needs, that's what I want to document. And I hope you come along for the journey. So if you want to see a little bit of everything involved in the hobby, as far as repairs, from board repair to monitor repairs to cabinet woodworking, installing artwork, subscribe to the channel, and that way when I do put out a video, you'll be notified. So with that said, today we're going to do something a little different than what I've been doing. I actually cleaned off one of my pinball machines, trying to make a little bit of headway in here. Everything's still a mess, and I hate to even show you what everything looks like. But I did clean off my Star Trek The Next Generation pinball machine. And a few days ago, got it all cleaned off, and I turned it on, and I was going to play a few games, because the first time in a while since I've had it to where I could play a game. And I turned it on, and immediately, what do you think happened? It reverted back to factory settings. Well, what does that tell you? Well, what it told me was the batteries have gone dead. Star Trek Next Generation, of course, is a Williams pinball machine, wide body. Very popular machine, I might add. And it's a WPC CPU, and it has a battery holder on the CPU board, which holds 3 AA batteries. Dry cell batteries, or mostly nowadays we put alkaline batteries in them. And back in 2013, I had the same problem. And I think the batteries in the machine in 2013, when I found out what had happened, the batteries had started leaking alkaline. Now, a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this too, you want to say when a battery leaks it's battery acid. Well, it's not battery acid. It's alkaline, because, well, alkaline battery is alkaline. In the early Sttng and Bally MPUs, in the late 70s and early 80s, the MPUs, used a nickel-cadmium battery, which is a rechargeable battery, and soldered directly to the MPU board. Now, that has the same problem, even though that's a nickel-cadmium. It's a little bit different than alkaline, and it's a rechargeable battery, but the cadmium in the battery, which is gosh, my mind's gone blank now. The electrolyte in the battery, that's the material that leaks out, and an alkaline battery, of course, is alkaline. Alkaline is a base, not an acid, but it is highly corrosive, especially on copper and any metal components. So back in 2013, the batteries leaked, and the batteries had a date code on them. I believe they were 2001. So I had gone from 2001 to 2013 without changing the batteries in that game. And I lucked out, because even though I had alkaline damage on the CPU, it wasn't that bad. I was able to clean it up with a mixture of white vinegar and distilled water, 50-50 mix. And the vinegar is an acid, a mild acid, which neutralizes the alkaline base. And that's what you do to clean up this battery corrosion for alkaline batteries. So back in 2013, when this happened, I made a video, and the video was still on my playlist. Now, it's back when I only had this little Sony point and shoot camera that took video, and the highest definition it had was 640 by 480. So it's low definition, and of course it's shaky. You know, it's not very good video, but it's still good enough to where you back at that time, you didn't have high definition anyway, or it was just coming out. I think they did have high definition, but I didn't have any high definition equipment back then anyway. I don't remember exactly when high definition cameras came out. But anyway, needless to say, if you go look on my playlist, and I will try to put in post editing a link to that video so you can go back and see what the symptoms of the game was and how bad the damage was and what I had to do to clean the board up, repair some traces on the board. I put a new battery holder on the board, and what I did was, back then I put a remote battery on it. Now I got this from Marco Specialties, and he still sells them, and you can get them today for $19.99. And this is what I installed in it back in 2013. And that's when I put the set of batteries in it. Now, I thought I had changed them since then, but when I opened up the game and looked in it, I found out that, and looked back at my video, I didn't. This looks like the same batteries that I installed in it back when I made the repairs in 2013, which was 8 years ago. So yeah, I'm guilty of neglecting my game by not changing the batteries. With AA batteries, you could probably go a couple years and get by with it, but really, ideally, you should change them every year. But I didn't. Now, let me focus in down here, and I'll show you what it looks like when I went over here. I opened up the game and I pulled the remote battery out of it. Now, because I used a remote battery, this time I have no damage to the CPU board. So the only damage is to the battery holder, the remote battery holder that I put in. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so here's the remote battery holder, and it still has the batteries in it. And first of all, it has this plastic piece right here, which serves as a dummy batteries. The way the holder in the Williams CPU, it holds 3 AA batteries. So this only has 2, and it leaves the middle slot empty, and has the positive post on one end and the negative post on the other. So when you click it in the battery holder in the CPU, it just makes contact on the original battery holder for the positive and the negative. And then it has this wire right here, which has a 9-volt battery clip. And that 9-volt battery clip clips on this battery holder, which has 3 batteries. So it's just basically a remote battery. Now, this part right here is still reusable, but this right here, as you can see, succumbed to the alkaline, and it's kind of coming apart and corroded and got the green crystals on it or whatever. So that's about as bad as it gets. So what I did was I ordered some new 9-volt battery holders, battery clips, but I couldn't find any with long wires on them. This is a fairly long wire on this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and clip it off at the clip and leave the original wire on here, and then just solder the new clip onto this and just add some heat shrink to it. And I'm just going to cut it back to make sure, because this alkaline will creep up wires, as well as if it gets on the board, it creeps up underneath the solder mask on the electronics, and it'll cause all kinds of havoc. But if I clip it off and strip it, I can look at the wire and tell and I'll cut it down to the point to where make sure it's not affected. So we'll do that. Now, this right here, as you can see, got all this corrosion. This is where the 9-volt battery clip hooks up, and that's corroded. You got corrosion in this where it makes contact to the batteries, and this is the worst part of the damage right here. But so this whole thing is trash. So we're not going to be able to use that. So that's going in the trash. What I did was I went on eBay and found this right here. It's a 3 AA cell battery holder with the 9-volt snap terminals, which is identical to the one that was in it. And I've already put the snap terminal on it. And here's the wires. And there's the new battery holder. So all I have to do is just clip these wires, tin them, solder them to the original fake batteries, and we'll be good to go. I'll be able to install it back in. But before we do that, let's go over some other options. I'm going this route because right now this worked and it saved my game because, you know, I forgot to change the batteries and the batteries did corrode. It still saved my game. So the simplest thing for me to do to get the game back up and running is just to go ahead and redo this. But there are other options. And here's some other types of remote battery holders here. Now this one here doesn't have the 9-volt battery clip, but it uses the 3 AA batteries. And this one here has been modified, and I bought it this way. I don't remember where I bought it. I might have bought it from Marco too, or I could have bought it off eBay, or I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I bought this back when I bought the other one 8 years ago. But this one right here has the diode in line, which is for the early Bally and early Sttng games that uses the rechargeable NiCad battery. Because if you replace the rechargeable battery in those games, those games are designed to recharge the battery. In other words, it has voltage. When the game is on, it actually charges the batteries. And in order for it not to backfeed, because if you put alkaline batteries to replace rechargeable batteries, you got to stop that charge current from going to the batteries. So you put a diode in line, and the diode is in the positive line here, and that keeps the charging current from trying to charge the batteries, which is a no-no. You do not want to try to charge alkaline or dry cell batteries. So that's one that you can use, and you can just solder the wires directly to the board, or you could put a connector on there if you wanted to. All right, this is another type, and like I say, I'm not sure. I may have got it from Marco too. I didn't look on the site to see if they still have these or if anybody else has them, but this is one that you can get, and you can mount it directly on the CPU board. Now this one would be one that right now, the way it is, it has no diode in it, and it's got 2 hard wires right here to come out. It's almost like spring metal. And what you can do is you can drill into the, this would be probably more for the Bally, but you could probably use it on other games too. If you drill a little hole in where the positive and the negative goes on the board, then you can solder it directly to the back side of the board, and you could strap it down with tie wraps, or you could probably hot glue it or whatever. But this right here would still be on the board. So if you forgot to change the batteries before they went dead, now NiCad batteries are rechargeable batteries, which you would use in this unless you put a diode in there. You could add a diode on the board if you wanted to use dry cell batteries, but if you wanted to use rechargeables, then you would just go directly to the board, and it would charge the batteries in here. So, and here's another one right here that's completely enclosed, and it has a little screw you have to take out in order to open it. But these are set up for, I believe they're set up for, no, I believe these are AAA batteries. Yeah. This one's set up for AAA batteries. Now, maybe I ordered these by mistake. I think they got these for AA batteries too, but this one here is for AAA, so I really wouldn't recommend that, but you could use that if you wanted to. And this one has, let's see, right here has an on-off switch, so you can actually cut it off and on, but why would you want to do that? Because you want power going to the RAM chip to keep it from losing its memory. So yeah, that is probably totally worthless for this. Now there's another thing that you can do is, and I don't have any here, but you can get a button cell battery holder and a button cell battery. Now this is a button cell battery. It's a 3-volt battery, so the voltage is a little bit lower because a 3-cell battery holder is going to be, of course, these are 1.5 volts apiece, so so that's going to be 4.5 volts for the 3 battery holder, and this is only 3 volts, but they claim it works just fine. So you can get a little battery holder, and you can do the same thing. You can drill the holes in the board and mount the battery holder and use one of these little lithium button cells. Supposedly these don't leak. Now I don't know. I guess anything can leak given the right circumstances, but generally I don't think they leak, but who knows. Now if you want to go this route here, if you go to Todd Tuckey's website, TNT Amusements, his employee Frank, I can't think of his last name right now, starts with an L, I know, but anyway, you know Frank if you follow Todd Tuckey's YouTube channel. Frank makes battery holders for all of these games, all the different style games that uses these button cells. And it's like a little daughter card that actually solders in the actual holes in the board. So you install it, and then you can still change the battery, you know, however often you need to change it. And I've never used one of those, but it's an option. I wouldn't mind giving them a try. They're nice. I've heard good things about them. So if you go to TNT Amusements website, I believe he has a page. I haven't gone there lately, but I believe he has a place where you can actually buy these battery holders right on site. At least he used to. So if you want to go that route, you can. Now, there's one other route you can go. And I know a lot of people have been screaming at the monitor or TV screen or however you watch YouTube. And that would be to do away with the batteries altogether and install a NVRAM or an NVRAM. Now, anybody in the hobby, I'm sure, has heard about it, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that haven't heard about it. So what is a NVRAM? Well, on your board you have a RAM that stores all the settings, and it needs the battery to be able to hold the memory. When you cut the game off, the batteries, it uses very little current, but it uses power from the batteries to keep the memory active in that chip. And that's how the game saves your game settings and your high scores and or whatever the game saves with the in memory. Okay, well, when you get a NVRAM, the NVRAM replaces that RAM chip. That RAM chip has to be powered by the battery, and it's non-volatile RAM. So I'm not sure. Some of them I think have like an internal built-in battery. I think some of them, I read years ago that some of them would last 10, 15 years. But the ones at this company here, if you go to a website called www.pinitech.com, I don't know if you pronounce that Pentech.com, but anyway, don't know if you can see or read that or not. But if you go to that website, now I printed this document off the website. They make and sell NVRAMs for practically all the pinball machines that use them. Now there are a few that don't, but there are very few, and mostly the newer stuff, because I guess the newer stuff uses surface mount chips, and there's not a whole lot of people, normal hobby people, that wants to deal with soldering surface mount chips. But anyway, and some of these are plug and play, like the Bally, the early classic, they call classic Bally, uses the 5101 RAM chip, and they make a 5101 NVRAM that replaces that chip, and the Bally board is already socketed, so all you have to do is just pull that chip off the board, put the NVRAM right in the same socket, and you're good to go. You don't have to do anything else. Now there are some games that you'll have to remove the chip because the chip will be soldered directly onto the board, and you'll have to add a socket, and then you can plug the new NVRAM in. Star Trek: The Next Generation is one of those games. That is a, let's see. Okay, the early Bally games has the Dash 35, which uses the plug and play. All right, and that's Star Trek. I have a Star Trek. I have all the Star Trek pinball machines. Over here in the corner, I got the Bally Star Trek, and I believe I still have a remote battery on it. But I was planning on putting a NVRAM in that eventually, so I'm thinking about that. That might be a future video. I also have the Data East Star Trek 25th Anniversary. That's a System 3, and that uses a 6264 NVRAM. That one is also plug and play. Now, I already bought one of those, and I have it here somewhere. I'm going to have to find it. That game is currently out in the garage, and that's one game that I want to get in here, go through it, and because it's been a while. It's been sitting out in the garage for quite a few years now. As a matter of fact, last year, I opened it up, and it still had the old batteries in it that were older than these batteries that I just took out the Star Trek Next Generation. Luckily, they did not leak. I had zero leakage, and they were older than these batteries. So I was able to pull those batteries out, and I put brand new batteries in that. That's been probably close to 2 years now, year and a half, maybe 2 years. So they're due to come out again, but hopefully I'm going to once I get things squared away in here and get the games back where they're supposed to be, I'm hoping I'm going to have enough room where I can bring that game in here by this coming winter, and that's going to be supposedly, hopefully, my winter project, where I can work on it here in the heated game room rather than working on it outside in the cold garage. And I want to get that game in the game room, and so I can have all 4 of my Star Trek pinball machines here in the game room where I can play them. Okay, now my Sttng Star Trek, which I bought in 2013, I think, is when that came out. I bought it brand new in the box. I have a video for that too. If you want to see the unboxing video, I'll try to put a link to that too. And anyway, that one, I bought the Star Trek limited edition, and that one is a SAM system. There is no NVRAM available for that. That uses a button cell battery from the factory. So that one is easily changed. I don't even know why that might be the reason why they never made one for it, because it's easy to change that button battery, or maybe it's because I haven't looked in that game lately. Maybe it's surface mount and nobody wants to mess with it. I don't know the reason for that. Maybe somebody knows and they can write it in the comments. But okay, so I guess I've been rambling on long enough. The only thing is, if you want to go to NVRAM route, they're not expensive. If you get one for the classic Bally, like the original Star Trek Bally pinball machine, it's a 5101 NVRAM. Now the price has gone up this year, starting this year, because the NVRAM chips are getting harder to find. So while I was reading on this website, so they're now $29.95. Now you can get the same chip made by the same company from Marco if he has them in stock. He might have this one in stock, the 5101 for the Bally, but he wants $10 more for it. I think it's $39, but don't quote me on that. You can go to the website and look it up and see. But I'm pretty sure it's from the same company that makes these, and you can go direct to their website and get them. Now there is one right now he doesn't have in stock, and that would be the 6264 is out of stock right now. But if he had it in stock, it's $19.95 normal price. The Bally 6803, which is the same as the 6116 NVRAM, is $19.95. The 62256 NVRAM is $24.95. Now, Star Trek The Next Generation either uses the 6264 or the 62256. You have to look at the board to see which one is installed. Now, mine has the original chip in it and it's soldered in, and they have a factory label over it. So I don't know which one my game uses. I'd have to pull that factory label off to find out. So I'm not going to do it right now because I'm just going to go back with my regular battery. So I'm not worried about that right now. In the future, I might decide to upgrade it and put an NVRAM in it. So if that's the case, I'll have to pull the board off, unsolder the old chip, put a socket in, and then put the new NVRAM in it. And the early Sttng games, they had a MPU that was the MPU 200, which used 2 NVRAMs. So you could either use 2 of the 5101s, which are $29.95 a piece, or you can use the special MPU 200 NVRAM, which is only $24.95, and that's the bargain. If you have the old classic Sttng game with a MPU 200 in it, that would be the route to go, $24.95. And So basically, the cheapest is $19.95, and the most expensive they have is $29.95. So if you want to do away with the batteries and go NVRAM route, that's your best bet. Go to www.pintech.com. That's www.pinitech.com. Look them up. You can download this document. It has a complete listing of every game and what chip you need for that particular game. And if you have to do something like find out which one you need, and if some games you might, only 1 or 2 games I think you might have to restrap to use the other version, because you can use 2 different chips. It even shows you where to go on the web to get the information you need to make the change. So none of it's hard to do. And as you can see, there are quite a few games here. So, yeah. All right. Okay. I'm sorry, I tend to ramble. So let's go ahead and fix this so we can install it in the game and at least get my settings back on the Star Trek Next Generation Pinball. So what I'm going to do first here, let me zoom in a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this old clip off. Put that over here with the nasty batteries. We don't want to see them anymore. All right. Let me strip this down and see if we have any alkaline creep up. And I got to put my magnifying glasses on. And look it over real carefully here. That one looks clean. Let me clip the negative one here. Actually, that looks good too. So the alkaline didn't creep up it too bad. All right. Go ahead and let me stick it in a smaller one here. Get my solder. And I'm going to pre-tin these wires. All right, now I'm going to, the 9-volt battery clip wires have already been clipped from the factory, and I believe they're factory tinned. All right, what I need is some heat shrink, so I have some red and some black. You don't have to color code it, but if I have it, I generally like to color code. So cut a piece of the red. Cut a piece of the black. And slide them on the wires here. Take these loose. And even though they look like they're tinned already, I'm going to tin them some more. And I want to get them straight. All right. Now load up the tip on a soldering iron. I'm kind of doing this backwards. Let me turn this around. Make it easier on me. Okay. I think that'll do it. All right. Let me load this up a little more. All right. Now we're going to put the two wires together. And just flow some solder over them. Yeah, it looks good. Now, we'll just slide the heat shrink over them and center them. Get my heat gun. Okay, that's all it is to it. Now, the old one here, the way I put it in here, and it didn't come with this, I think this one right here, which is one that I bought, it came with Velcro, but as you can see, it's got Velcro. So you can stick it onto the wood, or if it's metal, whatever you got in the back box to stick it on, you can stick it on. And when you want to change the batteries, you can just pull it right loose. Okay, well, I had used my own Velcro on this, and I'd used one of these round Velcro patches that you can buy in the store. And this is the fuzzy type, so the ones with the loop is in the game. So I went ahead and I have this right here, which is a little overkill, but it's the same width. So what I have to do now is just cut it down. So I'll take my razor knife and make it the same size. Ain't got to be perfect, just kind of eyeball it here. Yeah. Okay. That'll be good enough. Peel the backing off. Yeah, it's a little off, but I can trim that up, I guess. Okay, that'll work. One tip, if you got razor knives, always retract it, because nothing worse than throwing it in your toolbox with the blade out and you go grabbing it and you grab the blade. Ouch! Okay, always remember, whenever you're doing anything, safety first. Okay, well, now we can go over to the game and install it in the game. So let's do that. Okay, let's go ahead and get the back box. Already got it unlocked here. So we have to take the back glass out. And swing open this door. Alright, and let's take the color DMD panel off. Okay. Now let me focus in on here. I'll get you into a closer shot here. Okay, well, I done put the new batteries in the holder. So, what I'm going to do is see if I can reach it here. Alright, batteries are stuck on the Velcro. Alright, now, Need to put the batteries in the battery holder. And the way these batteries go in, all of the positives go to the top and the negatives go to the bottom. And the only ones that really connect to the board is this one here for positive and this one over here for the negative. So the way you do this is you just pop it right in just like they were dry cell batteries or alkaline batteries. So now the RAM has power, so we ought to be able to save settings now. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and put this back in. Okay. And got to get this out of the way here, the light. I got to take the key out to get this closed. All right. Get this light out the way. Back you up a little bit here. All right, put the back glass back in. All right, we're all done. Okay, let's go ahead and turn it on. Find a switch here. Of course, it's restoring factory settings because everything was cleared. Hopefully when we turn it off this time though, now, I've already, when I played it the other night, I noticed I have some light bulbs that are out and everything, so I need to pull the glass out and go through, replace light bulbs, need to clean the play field and all that good stuff. See, it's back to the factory settings. Now, I always did have trouble with this when I set the date. Right now it's 2/17, I believe I said 94. And I guess that's the factory default. But it never used to keep good time. Does anybody know or know that if these games, especially Star Trek Next Generation or any of the Williams games, do they have problem keeping the time and date? Because this one here would sometimes, the time and date, you'd set them and it wouldn't keep good time. And even the date would change, not very drastically, but it would, over time it just wouldn't keep up or something. I'm gonna have to go through this and set it up too, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. I'm just going to get out of this and let the game reset. Okay. And I believe it does have some type of error because it has to, I think it had the dot there. Maybe you have to credit it up to find out. Let's see. Yeah, it does have the credit dot. So I'm going to have to go through and fix everything it needs to be fixing. I see I got one of the dome lights on the cannon is out. See, several of the command decision lights out around the saucer, and a couple playfield lights. Not too bad, but seems like you always got to be, you know, chasing lights on a pinball machine. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit, and we'll play a quick game. Cut it off, turn it back on, and see if it goes back into factory default or if it stays with the settings that it's currently in.
Welcome to the Enterprise.
All right.
Launch of Class 1 probe. The probe has discovered nothing, sir. The kickback is ready. Readings indicate lock is lit, sir.
Been a while since I played this, so I know I'm rusty. I keep forgetting about the third flipper up top there.
Good luck. Sensors are picking up a Romulan warbird in the neutral zone. Cruising at thrust factor 2. Get the extra ball. Extra ball. Hold on tight. It could get rough. Steady as she goes.
At least my flippers have good power. I fixed them when I rebuilt the power supply. I have a video for that too. I replaced the filters and the bridge rectifiers. So I have an old video for that too. So be sure to check out my older videos, pinball videos, and I have some videos, couple videos on the ball diverters under the play field.
Shoot again.
Sensors are picking up a Romulan warbird in the neutral zone.
Oh man, I messed that up.
I'm sensing you want to continue.
No, I don't think so. Let's see if we get a match. Nope.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore.
I love this game. I would say that this is one of the, maybe not the best game there ever was, but I would put it in the top 5, surely in the top 10. But for me, I'm a big Star Trek fan. I would definitely put it in the top 5, maybe the top 3. Okay? All right, well, let's go ahead and cut it off and find out if the battery is working, if it's holding its memory. If it does, it shouldn't come up in factory settings anymore. I don't believe it should anyway, even though I hadn't reset anything. Let's see what happens. It still will probably come up with the error because I haven't reset anything or fixed anything if it does actually have an error. And it's still got the dot, I believe. So, yeah, it's definitely got some errors somewhere. Well, I'm not going to get into that in this video. The main thing I wanted to see if it was holding the settings, and it is because it did not go into factory defaults. If it had no batteries in it, cut it off and turn it back on, it would go back saying it resets to factory settings. So, yeah, at least we fixed the battery issue. So, lesson learned? Well, I've done it before. I hope so, but if anybody has a pinball machine or even video games, some video games have batteries in them. Let this be a warning. Check your batteries. If you can't remember the last time you changed them, change them now. And this day and age with smartphones and all these calendar programs and all, maybe put it in some type of program that will give you a yearly reminder so that, you know, at least once a year, change your batteries. Don't let them leak and destroy your board. The boards aren't cheap. If they're not too bad, they're not too bad to fix. It's fixable. I fixed this one if you go back and watch my video. But it's still a lot of trouble. Takes time, and if you can avoid something like that, avoid it. So, okay, well, that's it for this video. Really, I didn't do much. I hope I informed somebody, you know, of a little bit about what's involved in these batteries and what you have to do to maintain them and what you shouldn't do, which I did, but I'm going to try my best not to do it. So what I have to do now is my other pinball machines, I need to go through them and change the batteries in them. So that's going to be one of my top priorities. But I still have to fix it, get it in here so I can get to them. My Bally pinball machine is back over in this other corner. I have my buddy's Williams Firepower right over here. And hadn't been too long ago, went through this one, well, maybe about a year and a half ago. I went through this one, replaced the rubbers, and well, it might have been a little bit longer than that. I have to look that up. I think I have a video on that too. I had to replace one of the displays. One of the displays gassed out, but this one should be good to go. I may have to change the batteries in it though, so I need to get all this stuff cleaned off and get this place cleaned up so I can work on everything. And like I say, the main goal is to try to get everything in here up and running. And so go ahead and hit that subscribe button, subscribe, and we're going to get into all kinds of things in the future here. I would like to get started on one major project, which is a project that's out in the garage during the summertime, so you know it's hard to work in the wintertime out in the garage because this garage isn't heated or whatever. So if I can get things straight out there, hope to get a project going now. I have a bunch to choose from, not to mention everything in here needs to be fixed. I have some laser games. I have my Dragon Slayer, which I have a Dexter with, originally had the trilogy, Dragon Slayer, Space Ace, and Dragon Slayer 2. I also added Cliffhanger to it. So now you got 4 games on the Dexter. So I have a Dexter to put in that, but I need to redo the cabinet. So the game was working when I put it out there. And I had a laser ace in it, and it was only set up for Dragon's Lair. That's the way it is currently right now. So I would have to get that out. I would set it back up with the Sony 1450, LD 1450 Laserdisc player with the enhanced Dragon's Lair Laserdisc and the Laser Ace, get it running, and once I know the game runs, then I'd have to tear it down and start working on the cabinet. So that's one choice. I also have an Astron belt, which I'm pretty sure the Laserdisc player was going bad in it when I put it out in the garage. And those Laserdisc players are a lot harder to find. And at that time, I couldn't get, I don't even think they had a card that would work for it other than a Laser Ace. Now I got another Laser Ace I could put in it, but I went ahead and sprung for another Dexter. So I have a Dexter unit to replace the Laserdisc and the Laserdisc player, and hopefully we'll get the Astron belt up and running. I have a Frogger. Frogger cabinet needs repair. I've already, several years ago, pulled the monitor, rebuilt the monitor, got the monitor working, got the board working. So the cabinet just needs restoration. So I have a Frogger. Also got my buddy's Lunar Lander. I need to get that done. I don't know if I'll have time to do that this year, but hopefully if I get some of this other stuff done and free up space in the garage, I can get to some of this other stuff. I also have my other 2 Star Trek cabinets out there. My Star Trek cockpit and my dedicated Star Trek upright. The boards are out of those right now. I have the boards in here. Here shortly, I'm going to go ahead and do a video on, I'm going to test those boards. I loaned them out to Game Fixer several years ago, and it was a couple boards I think he had to repair. I thought they were good when I sent them to him, but you know how these boards are. They just go bad if you look at them sometimes. So anyway, he fixed the boards that needed repair, but most of them were working. And he just sent them back to me. So I need to unbox them and put them in my cabinet that's in here, which has my multi-game in it. So I'm going to do a video on showing how to test the Star Trek G80 cage system boards. Then I have another video I have to do that's been long overdue that I promised somebody I would do, and I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to have to do that. I'm not going to say what that is right now because I don't know the status of that project. And also we got a board problem with Red Baron. I got to get it fixed. I have my Star Wars. I bought another board working from Arcade Jason. I've had that probably for 3 years now. Pretty sure I have to look it up, but I think I've had it for almost 3 years. So I need to unbox it and test it, see if it works. And if it works, which I'm sure it does, unless, well, you never know. I've had boards that were working, and then the next time I fire them up, they're not working. So you never can tell with these boards. But if it works, I'm going to use those boards to figure out what's wrong with my board that's in the game now, to use it kind of troubleshoot with. So as you can see, I have many more projects too out in the garage. I'm not going to go into them right now. So anyway, if you have a preference, anything I mentioned, if you would like to see that before you see something else, I'm open to suggestions. I'll think about it, but I kind of think I know the route I want to go, but nothing is set in stone yet. But hopefully it won't be long as it has been. So with that said, well, this has just been another arcade fix. Have you had your arcade fix today?